I think I noticed it for the first time about 3 weeks ago. Or maybe it was always there, and I just didn't see it until then. That one streetlight near my house. The tall, crooked one with a slight lean to the left. I pass it almost every day when I come home from work. It was late when I first really looked at it. Around 2 a.m. I remember because I had stayed back at the office, finishing a stupid report nobody even asked for. The street was empty. Silent. No cars, no wind, just the click of my shoes on the pavement. And then, that light, shining straight down like it was waiting for me. Like a spotlight. At first, I didn't think much of it. Streetlights are supposed to be on at night. Obvious, right? But the next morning, I passed it again. Sun was out. Bright day. Every other streetlight on the road was off, except that one. Still glowing. Still humming that faint buzz, like it was running hotter than it should. I stood there for a second, staring up at it. Thought maybe it was broken. That happens. No big deal. That's what I told myself. But it stayed on. Day after day. Night after night. Shined. Didn't matter. One morning, just before heading to work, I decided to take a photo of it. I thought maybe I'd report it to the city or something. But when I checked my phone later, there was no light. The photo just showed a normal pole. No glow. No brightness. Just gray metal, like it had turned itself off for the camera. I remember blinking at the screen, confused. I even took another photo that night when I got home. Still nothing. And yet, when I looked up from my phone, the light was there again. Just as bright as before. Maybe even brighter. That's when it started to feel less like a broken light and more like something else. I tried asking my neighbor about it, this guy across the street, Tom, who's lived here way longer than I have. I figured he'd noticed it too. But when I pointed it out, he squinted at the pole and said, "Which one?" They all looked the same to me. I laughed awkwardly and dropped it. But inside, I was getting this weird feeling, like I was the only one seeing it. Then, things got a little stranger. One evening, I was lying in bed with the blinds closed. It was around midnight. The lights were off, and I was scrolling on my phone. That's when I saw it, this faint glow leaking in through the sides of the curtain. Not moonlight, not headlights. It was the same pale orange shine I'd seen on the streetlight. But my window doesn't face the street, and the blinds were shut. I even got up and looked out. Nothing there. Just darkness. But when I turned around, my room still felt lit. Not bright, just softly glowing. Like I had left a lamp on. But I hadn't. That night I barely slept. And the next morning, when I stepped outside, the streetlight seemed closer. I know that sounds crazy. It's a fixed pole, it can't move. But it didn't feel like it was where it used to be. It used to be at the corner. Now it looked like it was just 2 houses down. Still leaning. Still buzzing. Still on. I tried brushing it off. Told myself I was tired, imagining things. Maybe I had walked a different route. Maybe I was getting paranoid. But then something happened that I can't explain. I left town for a weekend trip. Just 2 days. A little cabin getaway with a friend up north. No signal, no Wi-Fi, nothing. Just trees and quiet. But on the second night, while we were outside by the fire pit, I turned my head, and there it was. That same pale orange glow. Through the trees. Too far to be a porch light. Too still to be a car. Just one tall light, standing alone in the woods. I stared at it for what felt like an hour. My friend didn't see it. He just kept talking about marshmallows. I didn't sleep that night either. When I got back home, the light was there again. In its usual place. But now, I'm sure of one thing. That streetlight is not just broken. And whatever it is, it knows I see it. After that weekend trip, I told myself I'd stop thinking about it. Really, I tried. I went back to work. Got busy again. Emails, meetings, normal life. But something had changed, not out there, not on the street. Inside. The glow was in my head now. Every time I tried to relax, I felt it. Not saw it, felt it. Like a warmth behind my eyes. Like I was being watched, not with eyes, but with light. The worst part was that no one else noticed. Not my coworkers. Not the neighbors. Not even the mailman, who parks right under it every day like it's nothing. It was like the world was blind to it, or pretending to be. I started keeping my curtains closed all the time. Every room, every hour. But even then I'd see it, bleeding in through the edges. Just enough to remind me it was still there. Still burning. Still waiting. One night I had a dream. I was standing under the streetlight. Not just near it, but directly beneath it. I couldn't move. Couldn't speak. My feet were stuck to the pavement. I looked up, but I couldn't see the top of the pole. It just went up forever, into nothing. And the light above me, it wasn't orange anymore. It was white. So bright it hurt. I wanted to look away, but I couldn't. It felt like it was burning something out of me. When I woke up, my room was glowing. The clock said 3:13 a.m. My lights were off. Everything was off. But the glow was still there. Pale orange. Coming from nowhere and everywhere at the same time. I sat up, heart racing, and pulled the curtain back just a little. It was still on. The street light. But this time, the glow felt stronger. Like it was pushing through the glass. Like it wanted in. That's when I made a mistake. I walked outside. I don't even remember putting my shoes on. I just had to see it. Up close. I needed to know if this thing was real or if I was finally losing it. I stepped out onto the porch and looked straight at it. And I swear, it flickered. Just once. A tiny blink. Like a wink. I stepped closer. 1 foot. Then another. My street was silent. Not even a breeze. There felt like walking through fog, even though the night was clear. When I got close, maybe 10 feet from it, the light got brighter. Not gradually. It just jumped. Like someone cranked a dial. I stopped walking, shielding my eyes. My skin felt warm. Like standing too close to an oven. Then I noticed something that made my stomach drop. There were no insects. Streetlights always attract bugs, right? They swarm around the light. But this one? Nothing. No moths. No flies. Not a single flutter. I took a step back. The light dimmed. I stepped forward again. Brighter. It was reacting to me. I turned and walked back to my house quickly. Not running. I didn't want to run. That would mean I was scared. That it had power. But I could feel the heat on my back the whole way. Like it didn't want me to go. When I got inside, I locked the door. Not that it would matter if it really wanted to come in. The glow stayed for hours. My whole room lit up like a low sunset. I laid in bed, blanket over my head like a kid, pretending that would protect me. But here's the thing that finally broke me. When I checked the camera footage from my doorbell the next morning, the light wasn't on. Not even a little. Just darkness. But I know what I saw. I felt it. I still feel it. And now, I'm starting to wonder if it's not just following me. I think it's getting closer. I woke up last night with the worst feeling I've ever had in my life. Not pain. Not fear, exactly. Just a tight, heavy pressure in my chest, like something was wrong, and I didn't know what yet. At first, I thought it was a nightmare. I sat up, wiped my face, looked around the room. Everything looked normal, except for the glow. That same pale orange light was leaking through the edges of my curtain again. But this time, it was brighter. Too bright. Like it was no longer out on the street. Like it was right outside my window. That didn't make sense. My bedroom faces the backyard. There's no streetlight back there. Nothing but a small fence, a shed, and trees. I should have stayed in bed. But I got up. Quietly. Carefully. Like I didn't want to wake something up. I peeked through the side of the curtain. And I froze. There, in my backyard, where my garden chair used to be, was the streetlight. The exact same one. Same crooked pole. Same dirty, buzzing bulb. Just standing there like it had always been part of my yard. It was impossible. There's no road back there. No power lines. Nothing that could explain why a streetlight was now planted in the middle of my grass. But it was real. I could see the grass bent around the base. The shadows it cast were sharp, too sharp, like it was showing me things I wasn't supposed to see. I stared at it for maybe a minute. Then I did something stupid. I opened the door. It was like stepping into a completely different world. The light was humming now, low and constant, and everything in the yard felt off. Still, but not peaceful. Like the air was holding its breath. I took one step outside. Then another. I don't know what I was planning to do. Touch it? Talk to it? I just couldn't stand the idea of it being there, so close, and not knowing why. But as I got closer, I noticed something new. There was something on the pole. A mark. Writing? I leaned in. It was a name. My name. Etched into the metal, like it had been carved a long time ago. Faded, but clear. I stepped back fast. That's when I heard it. A single click, like a light switch. And then it flickered. Twice. Then it went off. Total darkness. I ran back inside, slammed the door, locked it, pulled every curtain tight. My heart was racing so fast I thought I might pass out. I didn't sleep. This morning, I went out to check the yard. The street light was gone. But the grass where it stood is still flattened, and there's a ring of dark soot burned into the ground. And in the middle of the ring, there was something small. The bulb. The same kind the streetlight uses. Still warm. I didn't touch it. I didn't even breathe near it. I just went back inside. Whatever this thing is, it's not just watching me now. It's learning. It's changing. And it knows where I live. After what happened in the backyard, I started keeping my phone with me everywhere, even when I slept. I needed proof. Something real. Something I could show someone. Because honestly, I was starting to wonder if I was losing my mind. The morning after I found the light in my backyard, or whatever that was, I went outside and took a photo of the burn mark. The ring in the grass. The spot where the pole had been. I didn't even look at the photo until I got back inside. But when I opened the gallery, there was nothing there. Just my yard. Green grass. No burn mark. No flattened area. Just normal. I took another photo. This time of the exact spot. I even placed a rock on the edge of the ring, so I could see it clearly. Still nothing. But when I looked out the window again, the ring was still there. The grass was still burned. I could see it with my eyes. But my phone couldn't. That's when I remembered something. Weeks ago, when I first tried to take a photo of the streetlight, it didn't show up then either. I thought it was just bad lighting or glare or whatever. But now I was starting to understand. This thing doesn't want to be seen. Or maybe it can't be. I tested it again that night. I waited until the glow returned, this time from the front window, where it always used to be. The light was back on the street, same place, still buzzing faintly. I opened my camera and zoomed in. Nothing. Just the dark street. But I could see the glow with my eyes. I flipped to video mode. Hit record. Slowly walked toward the window, filming the entire time. The light stayed on the whole time I was looking at it, but when I played the video back, darkness. Just street. Empty pavement. No sound. No light. Like I had filmed a different world entirely. I tried filters. Brightness. Night mode. Nothing worked. Then something strange happened. As I was watching the playback, I noticed something in the corner of the screen. A shape, barely visible, almost like a blur, standing just off the sidewalk. I paused the video and zoomed in. It wasn't clear, more like a smudge of heat or smoke. A silhouette, not moving, just that. I rewound the video. Frame by frame, it came into view. At first, it looked like it had arms. Then, maybe a face. Then nothing again. Like it wanted me to notice it, but only for a second. Only enough to make me question if I saw anything at all. I turned off the phone and backed away from the window. I didn't look outside again that night. This thing, whatever it is, it's not just hiding. It's choosing how it wants to be seen. By who? And for some reason, it's choosing me. I didn't go near the window for 2 days. I closed the blinds, blocked out every crack with towels and tape. I even turned off all my lights and unplugged my lamps. I wanted darkness, real darkness, something I could control. I thought if I stopped feeding it attention, it would go away. But it didn't. The glow came back anyway. Not through the curtains this time. Not through the walls. Through me. It's hard to explain. My room was completely dark, but I could still see. Not with my eyes, with something else. Like the light wasn't just outside anymore. It was inside my head, lighting up thoughts, dreams, memory. I stopped sleeping. On the third night, just before dawn, I cracked. I got up, walked to the front window, moved the towel, lifted the blind. It was still there. The streetlight. Same pale orange glow. Same hum. Same flicker every few seconds, like a heartbeat. But this time, someone was standing under it. Just a figure. Not moving. Not waving. Just standing. It looked like a man, tall, thin, with a long coat that hung just above the ground. Head down, hands by his sides. I stood frozen behind the glass, trying to make out details. The street was dead silent. No cars, no crickets, not even wind. But the thing that hit me hardest, the thing that made my skin crawl, he had no shadow. The light above him was strong. It lit the pavement around him, the sidewalk, even the fire hydrant a few feet away. But he didn't cast a shadow. Like the light refused to touch him. I watched him for over 10 minutes. He didn't move, didn't flinch, just stood there like he had always been there. Then he looked up, slow, smooth, not toward my house, but straight at the window I was standing behind. Right at me. I didn't move. His face, I could barely see it. Pale, stretched too tight, eyes that looked too round, too wide. Like he wasn't surprised to see me watching. Like he expected it. Like he was waiting for me to notice him. I let the blind fall shut and backed away from the window. I stayed up the rest of the night listening, waiting for a knock. A voice. A sound. But nothing came. When morning finally arrived, I rushed outside. There was no one under the streetlight, but there was something on the pavement. Words. Scrawled in chalk. Faint. Like they'd been written a long time ago but were just now becoming visible. One sentence. He stands where shadows die. I haven't stopped thinking about it since. What kind of person casts no shadow under a light? Or maybe the better question is, what kind of light erases the shadow of whatever stands beneath it? After I saw the man with no shadow, I stopped looking outside. For days, I didn't touch the windows, didn't peek between the curtains. I didn't even open the door. I just stayed inside, lights off, phone on silent, trying to make everything feel normal again. But something was off. I started noticing this faint glow inside my house, especially at night. I kept thinking I had left a light on, a lamp, maybe the hallway bulb. But when I checked, everything was off. Unplugged. Switched down. And yet, There was still this soft orange shine creeping along the walls. Subtle, like it didn't want to be seen, but it was there. Always there. I tried turning on my own lights to drown it out, but it didn't help. The orange light would mix with the white, and somehow it made it worse. Like it wanted to be the only source of light. Like it was jealous. So I unplugged everything. Every lamp, every strip, even my nightlight. I sat in total darkness. And still the glow stayed. At first, I thought it was just my eyes adjusting. Maybe I'd been staring at screens too long. Maybe I was overtired. But the longer I sat there, the more I could see. The outline of furniture, the frame of the door, the edges of the picture frames on my wall, all softly lit in that familiar, pale orange color. No shadows. That was the worst part. There should have been shadows. The light was coming from somewhere, even if I couldn't find the source. But nothing in my house cast a shadow anymore. It made everything look flat, empty, like the room wasn't real. I went into the kitchen. Same glow. Checked the ceiling, the floor, even under the cabinets. Couldn't find it. Couldn't trace it. It was just there, floating in the air like dust I couldn't sweep away. Then I heard something. Just a soft hum. Same sound the streetlight made. That low, electric buzz. But this time, it wasn't outside. It was coming from behind the wall. I pressed my ear to the drywall near the light switch. The hum was louder there, like something was sitting inside the wall, vibrating, alive. I backed away, slowly, went to the living room. Same thing, behind the couch. In the bathroom, behind the mirror. Wherever I went, it followed. Just under the surface, just out of reach, and always glowing. I tried taking a video again. Walked around the house, recording every room. Nothing. Pure black. But when I played it back, I noticed something in the background. A shape. Not standing this time. Just sitting. In the corner of my bedroom. Perfectly still. Like it was waiting. I rushed into the room. Nothing there. But the air was hot. Not warm hot. Like I had left an oven door open. I ran to the breaker box and flipped everything off. No power. No light. But the glow didn't stop. And neither did the feeling that I was no longer living in my home. That I was living inside the light. I've been writing things down. Links. Hum patterns. Anything. Because I think it's trying to tell me something. It started a few nights ago. I couldn't sleep, not because of noise, not because of dreams. Just that same glow pressing into the walls like soft fire. So I sat by the window, too scared to open it, but too curious to walk away. The streetlight was there, as always. Still, quiet. Then it blinked. Then 3 times fast. Then again, 2 long flashes. One short. I stared at it, not blinking. At first I thought it was random. A faulty bulb. Something loose inside the pole. But then it repeated. Same pattern. Same rhythm. And again. It was blinking in sequences. I grabbed a notebook. Wrote it down. I don't know why. Maybe I was just desperate for something to make sense. The blinks came every hour. On the dot. Never early. Never late. It felt too perfect to be broken. And after every set, the hum changed. Louder. Sharper. Then soft again. Like breathing. Like the light had lungs. I started tracking it. The time. The exact flash order. I even made a chart. I wasn't sleeping anyway, so I just stayed up and watched. For blinks. Then 2. Next hour, 1 blink. 3 long hums. Next, blink, 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 silence. And still, no one else noticed. Not the couple down the street. Not the jogger who passed by every morning like clockwork. They walked right under the light like it wasn't doing anything strange. But I knew it was. It was thinking. Or remembering. I started wondering, What if this light isn't just alive? What if it's old? What if it's been watching people for decades, for longer than we even realize, just collecting what we ignore? And now it's trying to use it, speak, in a way only a few people can understand. Or maybe only one. That thought made me sick. Why me? Why my street? Why my name on that pole? I started testing it. I tapped on the window when it blinked. I turned my porch light on, then off. I flashed my phone light back at it like a signal. Nothing. No response. But the next night, the pattern changed. Faster. Stranger. 3 short blinks. 1 long. Then no light at all. Just that deep hum vibrating my floor like a quiet earthquake. I backed away. Sat down. Didn't touch anything. And that's when the power came back on. All at once. Every light in my house, even the ones I'd unplugged, flicked on. Brighter than they should have been. But it wasn't white light. It was orange. That same glow. Flooding every room. No shadows. No sound. Just the hum. Steady. Breathing. I didn't move for an hour. Then, just like that, everything shut off again. Pitch black. The next morning, I opened the notebook, and I realized something I hadn't seen before. Each set of flashes lined up with the letters of a name. My name. Over and over. Written in light. I thought the blinking was the message. But no, I think it was just the beginning. After that night when the lights in my house all turned orange and then cut to black, I didn't sleep at all. I just sat in the hallway with my back against the wall, holding my phone like it was going to protect me. It didn't. Around 3 a.m., my phone turned on by itself. The screen lit up, white and silent. Then the flashlight blinked. 3 times. Then 2. Same pattern as before. But this time, there was no streetlight in sight. The curtains were closed. Everything was off. The signal had followed me. I closed the app, put the phone down. It blinked again. I turned it off completely. Still blinked. That's when I realized it wasn't the phone. It was the light inside it. The same glow. The same rhythm. Like the signal had jumped from the street into the circuits. Into my home. Into my things. I threw the phone across the room. But the blinking didn't stop. Now it was coming from the TV. The screen was off, but the red standby light began to flicker. 3. Same code. I unplugged it, but the light stayed on. No power. Still blinking. That's when I started to hear it. The sound, so faint I thought it was in my head at first. Like a low static curling under the silence. It came from every speaker in the house, even the ones I hadn't used in months. I followed the noise to the living room. My old radio was sitting on the shelf, unplugged, untouched. Buzzing. Not music. Not voices. Just presence. I plugged it in, and the static stopped. Then came a voice. Not loud. Not clear. But there. It whispered once. Just a single word. Not my name this time. It said, "Come." That was it. One word. The glow returned, soft and warm. From the hallway. From the floor. From nowhere. I stood in it. For the first time, I didn't feel watched. I felt invited. Like it wasn't just following me anymore. It wanted me to follow it. That scared me more than anything. Because that meant it had a plan. Not just light. Not just flickers. Instructions. And if I kept listening, I might start understanding them. I didn't leave the house for a week. I couldn't. Not after the voice on the radio. Not after the word, "come," crawled into my ears like it belonged there. I was afraid that if I stepped outside, the light would be waiting, not to follow me this time, but to take me. But something changed. It was quiet. Too quiet. No flickers. No glows. No sounds through the walls. For days, nothing happened. The house felt normal again. And that was worse, because now I was waiting, watching, flinching at every shadow, every breeze across the window. The silence felt like bait. That's when I got the note. It wasn't in the mailbox. It wasn't taped to my door. It was slipped under the front mat. A folded piece of paper. The handwriting was shaky, like someone had written it with trembling fingers. It watched me too. Come before it gets louder. No name, just an address. A small house a few blocks from mine. At first, I didn't want to go. I was done chasing signs. Done being pulled along by lights and flickers and whispers. But something about the way that paper felt in my hand, it was warm, like it had just come out of the light. So I went. The house was small, worn down, paint peeling off the edges. There were wind chimes on the porch that didn't move, even though the air felt heavy around me. I knocked. The door opened after a long pause. An old woman stood there, pale skin, gray hair pulled back tight, eyes that looked like they hadn't closed in weeks. She stared at me for a long time, then said, "You've seen it." I didn't answer. I didn't have to. She stepped aside. I walked in. The house was dark, curtains shut, lights off, but I could see everything clearly. That same soft orange glow hung in the air like dust. She led me to the kitchen, sat me down. No words. Then finally she spoke. I first saw it in 1973. Different street, different town, same light. I asked her how she knew it was the same one. She didn't blink, just said, "It never forgets a name." I didn't know what to say. I asked how long it followed her. She smiled, but it wasn't kind. "It doesn't follow," she said. "It lives inside places. Waits. Watches. It chooses one person at a time. Just one. But if that person notices it, it won't leave." I felt cold. I asked how she made it stop. Her smile faded. "You don't. You just learn the rules." I asked what the rules were. She leaned in close and whispered, "Never answer when it calls. Never stand under the pole. And never, ever turn your back when it flickers." I asked what happens if I break the rules. She looked past me toward the hallway and said, "You'll become the next light." I left without saying goodbye. She didn't stop me. When I got back home, the light outside my window was already on again. Only this time, there were two. I don't know how the fire started. All I know is I woke up coughing. My lungs were tight. My room was full of smoke. The air was thick, hot, and burning the inside of my throat with every breath. At first, I thought I was still dreaming, but the orange glow wasn't soft this time. It was sharp, flickering. Flames had already reached the hallway. I remember crawling, trying to stay low. My vision blurred from the smoke, but I could see the light coming through the walls. Not firelight, not the kind that dances, but steady, pale orange. That same glow I've been seeing for weeks. Except now it was inside everything. In the flames, in the mirrors, in the glass of the picture frames. And it wasn't flickering like the rest of the fire. It was still, watching, unbothered. I barely made it out. I don't remember who called 911. I don't even remember falling on the front lawn. But I remember lying there, coughing on the grass, staring up at the sky, and seeing the streetlights still on, bright, untouched, while my house burned behind me. It made no sense. Everything else was going up, the roof, the porch, the windows bursting from the heat. But that one streetlight stood exactly where it always had. Not a scratch, not a crack, no smoke around it, like the fire bent around it, like it respected it. When the firefighters came, they tried to put it out, but the heat inside the house was too strong. I heard one of them say, "It's like the whole place was wired wrong, like something's feeding it from inside." but there was no wiring. I had cut the power days ago. Later, after the smoke had cleared and the flames were gone, one of the firemen walked over to me. He was pale, sweating even though it was cold outside. He said, "We found something strange in your living room." I didn't say anything. He looked at me and said, "There's one object in there. One thing that didn't burn." He showed me a photo on his phone. It was the streetlight bulb, just sitting there on the floor, glowing, not a single crack, still warm. They said it wasn't connected to anything. No socket, no wiring, just lying there like it had been placed there after everything burned down. I didn't tell them it had been in my backyard before. I didn't tell them I'd seen 2 lights last night. I didn't tell them anything, because none of them looked surprised. Not really. It felt like they already knew. Now I'm in a motel across town. A cheap one. The kind with buzzing TVs and thin blankets. And tonight, when I looked out the window, the parking lot was dark, except for one light, leaning slightly to the left, glowing pale orange, exactly like before. I left that night. Didn't pack much, just the clothes I could grab, my wallet, and a bag with the notebook full of blink patterns. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I didn't want anyone else involved. I just drove. No music. No calls. Just the sound of tires and wind and the distant ringing in my ears from the fire. I thought maybe if I put enough miles between me and that street, it would stop. It had to, right? I crossed out of the city by morning, kept driving, past fields, empty gas stations, slept once in the back seat at a truck stop, windows fogged, doors locked, and dreamed of flickering. But when I woke up, the gas station light above the pumps was glowing orange. I told myself it was nothing, just my brain, just guilt, the trauma following me. So I kept going. I crossed state lines by afternoon. I passed the sign, "Welcome to Idaho," and kept moving until I couldn't anymore. I found a small motel near the edge of a quiet highway. Perfect. No streetlights. That night, I lay in bed listening. The hum of the AC, the buzz of the fridge. Normal things. No glow. No voices. No flickers. Just dark. And then, just before 3 a.m., a faint pulse lit the edge of the curtains. So, familiar. Orange. I didn't move. Not at first. But then it blinked. It was twice. The exact pattern I wrote down in my notebook. The same one it used to use when I was still back home. I sat up, heart pounding, walked slowly to the window, and there it was, in the gravel lot behind the motel. A tall streetlight, same lean, same hum, same impossible presence. But there was no pole for it to be connected to. Just the light, floating, held up by nothing I could see. It didn't need concrete. It didn't need a sidewalk. It had followed me, not the street. And now I think I understand something I didn't before. This light doesn't belong to a place. It belongs to a person. Just one. It doesn't matter where you go or how far you run. Once it chooses you, it rebuilds the road beneath your feet. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the motel chair, staring out the window, watching the glow, counting the blinks, trying to pretend I still had some kind of control. I didn't. By morning, the street light was gone again. Just an empty gravel lot, same as before. But something about the silence was different. Not peaceful, not safe, empty, like something had moved on, or worse, gone inside. I left the motel before sunrise, drove with no direction, just trying to stay ahead of whatever this was. I stopped at a diner somewhere along the highway, a real quiet place, faded menus, old jukebox in the corner that didn't work. I sat at the far booth and didn't speak to anyone, until the man in the corner turned toward me. He was old, weathered like stone, wearing a faded flannel and boots covered in dust. He hadn't looked at anyone else since I walked in, but now he was looking only at me. "You've seen it," he said. I didn't reply. He nodded like he understood anyway. "The orange one. The light that don't go off." I felt sick. The coffee in my hand started shaking. I asked him what he meant. He leaned forward across the booth and said, very quietly, "They don't call it a streetlight. That's just what we tell ourselves to sleep at night." I asked, "Then what is it?" He said, "It's a warden." I stared at him. That word hit something deep. Cool. Like a memory I hadn't lived yet. He said, "It picks a person." What? Just one. Not 'cause they're special. Not 'cause they did something wrong. Just 'cause they looked back at the wrong moment. Noticed it when they weren't supposed to. I asked him how he knew all this. He didn't answer right away. Then he rolled up his sleeve, and I saw the burn mark on his forearm. A perfect ring. Same size as the base of the streetlight. Faded but permanent. Like a brand. "I used to be watched too," he said. "Long time ago. Back in El Paso. It followed me all the way to Arizona." I asked how he escaped. He shook his head slowly. "You don't. You just get replaced." That word hit me like a punch. Replaced. I asked, "By who?" He stared at me for a long time, then said, "That's the part no one talks about." He slid something across the table. A napkin. A number. A location. "She knows more," he said. "The one who listens to the frequencies. If you're hearing the flicker, you're almost at the end." Before I could ask anything else, he stood up and walked out of the diner without paying, without turning back. I sat there for a long time. The waitress refilled my coffee. Asked if I was okay. I almost asked her if she noticed the lights outside. But when I looked out the window, the street light in the parking lot was glowing again. Orange. Bright. Waiting. And when I blinked, I saw something under it. A person. Standing very still. Looking at me. I didn't want to run anymore. After the diner, after what that old man told me, after seeing someone else under the streetlight again, I just broke. Something inside me snapped. I didn't care if I understood it. I didn't care if it was old, or alive, or something I wasn't supposed to name. I just wanted it gone. So that night, I waited. I parked my car in an abandoned lot off a back road. Nowhere near anything. No traffic. No homes. Just open space and silence. And then I stood there. Alone. And I called it. I didn't say anything out loud. I didn't have to. The light came anyway. No sound. No warning. It just blinked on. About 50 feet away. That pale orange glow. So, waiting. Like it had been behind a door the whole time and only now stepped through. There was no pole again. No wires. Just the light, hovering, like a sun that had forgotten gravity. And underneath it, something shimmered. Something like a face. Then not a face. It changed when I looked too hard. So I didn't look at it. I looked up, right at the bulb. I held the crowbar in my hand, heavy, solid, cold. And I walked forward. The air got hotter with every step. My skin started to sting. My vision blurred. But I kept going. The glow throbbed like a heartbeat. Then it spoke again. Not with sound. With feeling. It pressed into my chest, into my head, into the space behind my eyes. Said, "Stop." But I didn't. I raised the crowbar and swung. The bulb exploded on impact. But it didn't shatter. It burst. Not into glass, not into sparks, but something black. Something thick. What? It sprayed across the gravel with a splat, like a wound opening too wide. I dropped the crowbar and stepped back, heart hammering. The glow vanished instantly. Just gone. Replaced by a pulsing black smear where the light had been. A puddle that didn't shine. It swallowed light. like a hole in the world. And in the center of it, something moved. It looked at me, not with eyes, with weight, like its gaze sat on top of me. I couldn't breathe. I turned and ran. Not to the car. Not to safety. I just ran. I don't remember how long. My legs felt like stone. My lungs burned. But I didn't stop until I collapsed somewhere in the dirt. When I look back, there was no light, no bulb, no puddle, just empty road and night. But the next morning when I woke up, my phone screen was blinking. It was twice. The signal was still alive. And my hands? They smelled like burnt metal. And something else. Something alive. I didn't sleep after I smashed the bulb. I couldn't. The air around me felt thinner, like something important had been torn open. And inside that tear, something was breathing. The motel lights flickered the next day. Not like before. This time, they didn't blink randomly. They moved in patterns. Slow, careful. Almost gentle. I stayed in the bathroom, door locked, lights off. My phone kept vibrating. But it wasn't a call. It was a signal. It was twice. It was then 3 times. That was new. I opened the Notes app and typed the pattern out. Stared at it like it might change. It didn't. The signal had changed. Like it was growing more complex. Like it had learned something from me. That night, I finally gave in. I sat on the edge of the bed and whispered, "What do you want?" And it answered, not with sound, not with light this time, but with memory. Suddenly, I was back at my childhood home, standing in the yard. But I wasn't me. I was watching me, a younger version, maybe 10 years old, standing in the grass, staring up at a tall orange streetlight that I don't remember ever being there. The boy looked scared, and then I saw it, that shimmer, that movement just below the light. The warden, watching. But then, I didn't understand. I must have forgotten it, blocked it out. But it didn't forget me. The memory melted away. I was back in the motel, hands shaking, heart racing. The signal blinked again. Then a voice, not real, not in the air, but inside my head, clear as my own thoughts. "You open the eye. You are the last." I didn't understand. I asked out loud this time, "The last what?" It responded with silence. Then the motel TV, turned off this whole time, lit up. Static at first. Then a flickering image. A map. My map. A trail of where I've been. Every road. Every motel. Every stop. Then it, moving toward me. I blinked. The map disappeared, replaced by a phrase burned into the screen like it had always been there. "I want what you remembered." That's when I knew. It's not following me anymore. It's waiting for me to come back. Not home. Back to where it began. Back to the first time I saw it. The memory I just unlocked. That's what it wants. Not to haunt me. To complete something. To finish what it started. I went back. I didn't even hesitate this time. The moment the TV went dark and the motel lights stopped flickering, I packed my things, what little I had left, and drove. No map. No GPS. Just instinct. And memory. The roads were empty. Sky dull and quiet, like the world was holding its breath. I passed old places I hadn't seen in years. A gas station with the pumps ripped out. A church turned into a warehouse. A tree I remember climbing when I was a kid. And then, finally, I turned onto my old street. It looked smaller than I remembered. Almost fragile. But the light was still there. Not just a light. The light. The original one. Right outside my childhood home. Still leaning just a little to the left. Still glowing with that pale, orange warmth. Still alive. No one else was around. No cars. No dogs barking. Not even wind. I stepped out of the car and walked straight to it. No fear. No second guessing. Because I finally understood. This wasn't about punishment. It wasn't even about me, not completely. It was about the moment, the one I'd forgotten for so long. That day I stood right here, years ago. Alone, 10 years old, looking up into the light, and seeing something look back. The moment I let it in, the moment I became part of it, I walked up to the base of the light and stood directly underneath. Everything stopped. The sound of my breath, the beat of my heart, even the color of the sky seemed to pause. The light blinked. Then again. Then the same pattern I had seen 100 times. No, thousands. And then I saw everything. I saw every person it had ever chosen. I saw every memory it had ever lived through, not just mine. I felt all of them. Some tried to fight it. Some tried to worship it. Some begged it to leave. But none of them stood where I was now. None of them remembered the way I did. And that's what made me different. The light lowered. I swear, it bent just slightly, like a tree in slow wind. Closer to me, close enough to touch. I reached up and placed my hand against the warm glass of the bulb. And I spoke one word. Enough. The light blinked once, then dimmed, then turned off. For the first time, since I can remember, total silence, total darkness. The kind that doesn't scare you, it frees you. Then I heard something small, so like a breath. Thank you. It wasn't a voice. It was a release, like whatever had been trapped inside that light. The warden, the watchers, all of it, had finally been let go. And with it, so was I. I stood there a long time in the dark. Then I walked away. Not running, not afraid, just done. And when I turned around one last time, the streetlight was gone. Like it had never been there. But I don't forget anymore. Because I chose to remember. And now, the light no longer follows. It rests. And so do I. That's the end of the story. But maybe not the end of the warden. If you ever see a streetlight that's always on, and it blinks in a rhythm, don't blink back. And don't remember,